Hello my friends, welcome back to another 24-hour readathon. I'm so excited to be filming this. These are just so freaking fun to film for me, and you guys seem to love them too, so it's just a win-win situation. Just as a little preface, I kind of tend to do my readathons in two different ways. One method is a timer method where you start a 24-hour timer on your phone and you stop it every time you stop reading. So often those readathons go over quite a few days because you may only read for 6 hours one day, 2 hours the next day, 5 hours the next day, whatever it may be. Or the other method that I personally do is I will read for 24 hours, but I'll split it up over 2 days and read 12 hours one day, 12 hours the next day. Strictly speaking, I don't read for 12 hours straight. That is just, it's a lot. But I try and do as much reading as I possibly can in the 12 hours on each of those 2 days. And the reason why I split it over the 2 days rather than just do 24 hours straight and go like overnight and try and stay up is because I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule. Sleep is so important to your mental health, to your physical health, so many areas of your life. And I also feel like more often than not, when I watch people do the 24-hour readathons where they don't sleep and go throughout the night, they tend to just not enjoy themselves. Like they just get to a point where they're so sleepy and so like grumpy and so sick of reading that they're not enjoying themselves anymore. And for me personally, I love 24-hour readathons so much, and I have so much fun filming them the way that I do. So doing the 24-hour readathon split over 2 days, 12 hours one day, 12 hours the next day, works really well for me, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. But I just wanted to mention that because it seems like everyone kind of has their own way of doing it, and that's just the method that I choose to do. I don't really have a set TBR for this readathon. Right now when I'm filming, it is early November, and I have already picked my November TBR, but I haven't quite finished the books that I started in October that have kind of, I don't know, overflowed into November. So I really want to finish the 2 books that I'm in the middle of before I can start on my November reads. So the first one that I am honestly almost at the end of is Fuel the Fire by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the 8th book in the Addicted/Calloway Sister series if you read those 2 series together, which I definitely recommend. And I'm loving this so far. I honestly don't have that much left, but I just haven't quite finished it yet. So I definitely want to finish this in this readathon. And the other one that I'm in the middle of is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the 2nd book in the Poppy War trilogy. I am probably only like a little over halfway, and I do have the audiobook for this one from the library. So I've been doing like some audiobook, some physical reading, and I would love to also finish this during this readathon. So those are the only 2 books that I have set in stone, but let's get into this readathon. It is now 8:50. I've taken a few breaks this morning just to like get ready for the day. Well, I'm like half ready, eating breakfast, all of that sort of stuff. I started off this morning at the 75% mark and I'm now at 90%. So I have about 60 pages left because this book is almost 600 pages. So I'm just gonna try and sit down and finish this now. I just finished Fuel the Fire. It was so good. So good. I think I'll either give it 4 or 4.5. I'm not exactly sure yet. Also, I do have the physical copy of this book as well, but sometimes I just feel like reading on my Kindle, and this is just one of those times. As for my next read, I think I'm going to do some cleaning and listen to the audiobook of The Dragon Republic. How much have I got? I've got like a decent amount left on it. It feels like it's taking me forever to get through. I am 13 hours in, and I have 10.5 hours left. So I definitely won't finish this right now, but I might do like an hour or so of cleaning depending on just like what I feel like. So I'm just gonna put my headphones on, listen to this, and we'll see how much I get through. I'm now up to chapter 28, which means I'm 500 pages into The Dragon Republic, which is also the book that I've been listening to on audio. I've kind of been doing some listening as an audiobook, but then also some reading of the physical copy as well. I've managed to do a lot of cleaning. It's been actually a few hours since I've spoken to you last, and cleaning is like my favorite task to do while listening to an audiobook because I feel like I can really focus on both things, because I feel like cleaning, at least to me, feels very mindless, so I can still focus on what I'm listening to. Anyway, I think I have about 150 pages left. This is like 650 pages total, and I am enjoying this. I think if I were to guess now, it's probably going to be around a 4-star read. And the only reason I say that is I think it's just a personal preference thing. Like, I can totally understand why some people are obsessed with this trilogy. If you don't know, this is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy, and I am enjoying this a lot, but there's just a few things where I'm like, I just don't think this is like my personal cup of tea. But I can really acknowledge how phenomenal the writing is, how complex and well developed the storyline is, the plot, the characters are all fantastic. There's just something not like clicking for me. I'm just not getting that feeling that I get when I'm just obsessed with a book, and I really thought that I would be obsessed with this series, and I'm just not, and I think that's totally okay. I feel like I've just realized that this is an objectively great book. It's just not my personal favorite book, I think, or like series. So I am still really enjoying it, and I'm still definitely going to finish this book and probably finish the series. I don't know if I'm going to read the third book anytime super soon, because it's just like not a book that I'm so excited to pick up. Like I just said, I'm just not obsessed with the series, but I definitely want to finish it and see what the end is, I guess. It is good, and I would still definitely recommend it. I'm pretty sure I looked it up, and it says that the Poppy War trilogy is classified as grim dark fantasy, which I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it makes sense. Like, grim dark is a great way to describe the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, and I'm assuming obviously the third book as well, but I haven't read that, so I can't speak on that, because it is just kind of more sad and just like, I don't know if hopeless is the right word, but there's just so many sad situations in this. It's not like a fun adventure story, which although a lot of fantasy books have sad elements, I feel like a lot of them have a lot more like funny moments and happy moments and like yay moments when the characters just like have a successful mission or adventure or whatever it is. Whereas these books, just there's a lot of war, a lot of politics, a lot of death, a lot of like, maybe gruesome descriptions isn't the best, but like more gruesome than I'm used to. So I just don't know if it's like the series for me, but I would still definitely recommend it because the writing is so beautiful, and I'm really intrigued to pick up Babel or Babel, not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I'm really excited to pick up that book sometime soon. I do own it, so I know I'll get to it at some point. I just don't know when, but I'm really intrigued to see R.F. Kuang's writing in a different story. But I think I'm going to move on to a different physical book now and probably try and finish this one, maybe even tomorrow. I just kind of want to break from it because I've been listening to it / reading it for the past like 3-4 hours. It's now 12, and I think this is the next book that I want to get to. This is Mary Jane by, forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, Jessica Anya Blau. This is just like a general fiction book that is set in the 70s in Baltimore about a teenager who becomes like a nanny / babysitter for her next door neighbor. And I've just heard amazing things about this, and I'm really intrigued. And I love the cover of this. It just gives the most perfect vibes. But I'll keep you updated on my thoughts about this. I'm also going to use my Italy bookmark because it just really matches the vibes, I guess you could say. A little update for you guys. I'm about 120 pages into Mary Jane. It is now 4 p.m. I should be so much further into this book than I am, but 1, I've taken a few breaks, and 2, I have also read some more of the Dragon Republic, but my thoughts are kind of still the same on that, and I think I only have maybe 50 pages left. Anyway, I've read 120 pages of Mary Jane, so I'm almost halfway through this, and I'm really enjoying it. It feels quite unique to the normal stuff that I read. I'm pretty sure I already said this, but it's just like general fiction, so it's not necessarily romance or like mystery or fantasy or anything like that. It's just kind of a story about a young girl, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know if there is supposed to be a plot. It kind of feels like no plot, just vibes at the moment. This 14-year-old girl is a summer nanny for one of the families in her neighborhood, and Mary Jane, who is the nanny, has been raised in, I would say, quite a conservative family. Her parents are quite strict and again very conservative, not very open-minded about anything, and if other families don't look like them in pretty much any way, they kind of look down on them. But obviously Mary Jane has been raised in this family and just doesn't even know that her parents are like that, doesn't know that they're closed-minded, doesn't know that they're strict, doesn't know that they look down on other families, because it's all she's ever experienced. So like how would she know that when it's all she's ever seen? So I guess you could say she's very sheltered, and the family that she is babysitting for or nannying for is a lot more, I don't really know the correct term, maybe progressive. The dad is a psychiatrist, the mum seems to just be a stay-at-home mum, but they've also got another couple staying with them at the moment. and the mum is kind of spending a lot of time with that couple. And the daughter, I actually don't know how old the daughter is. Maybe like 4 or 5. Either way, the parents are just a lot more go with the flow, very chill. They listen to different music. They just kind of live life a little bit differently. Their house is a bit more messy, but Mary Jane just has a lot more freedom in their house. Even though she's there to work, she just experiences so much more independence and freedom and kind of just gets to figure herself out a little bit. I guess I'm assuming this is a coming of age novel, but that's kind of the main storyline, at least what we've got so far. I don't quite know if there's going to be like a huge conflict or anything in this book, or if it's just going to be like very vibey the whole way through, and it's just more of a insight into 2 different types of families in America in the 70s. Either way, I'm enjoying it. It's not like the best book I've ever read, but I am enjoying it. So I'm going to keep reading this and I will update you guys later. Little update for you guys. I'm up to page 215. So I have like just under a third of the book left, and it is now like almost 6 p.m. I'm still really enjoying this. Still not really a lot of plot, but I still am really liking it. I've become very fond of the characters, and if I feel attached or connected to the characters in a book, I can kind of look past the plot. And I also think I went into this knowing that the plot wasn't like the main focus, I guess. I feel like if I go into a book expecting it to be like super fantastic, like the best book I've ever read, and it doesn't meet that, even if it's still like a really good book, I might be quite disappointed in it. And on the other side of that, if I hear that a book isn't very good and I go into it and I thoroughly enjoy it, maybe although it was more of a 3-star read, because I had such low expectations going into it, I might rate it like a 4 or a 4.5 or something like that. And I also think your like mood is a huge determining factor as well, because there are some times where I'm just like hugely in the mood for a cheesy romance and I'll read it and I'll froth it and I'll love it. And there are other times where I'm not so much in the mood for a romance and I could pick up the exact same one that I could have frothed on a different day and I might find it too cringy or too cheesy. So I feel like this is why I love mood reading, because I feel like I need to be in the mood for whatever I'm picking up, otherwise it'll make me just like not enjoy it. I'm on a tangent now. Back to this book. I have no idea how it's going to end. I'm kind of sad because Mary Jane, the like nanny, is obviously only the nanny for the summer because she has to go back to school at the end of summer. And I'm kind of sad for her to say goodbye to the family, which is kind of inevitable because she's 14 years old. She can't like live with them full time, I'm assuming. I feel like she has just grown so attached to the family, and it's just going to be really sad to see her have to say goodbye, potentially. But again, I don't really know how it's going to end, so I'm hoping it's like a satisfying ending. Right now this book is sitting at around like a 4 stars for me, and I don't know if I'll finish it tonight because in like 20 minutes we are going to head to our like Bible study small group situation, have dinner with them, and then like do our Bible study. So I won't be home till like 10 p.m. and I probably won't read a whole lot more of this today, so I might have to finish this one tomorrow, which is fine. But yeah, a great reading vlog so far because I'm just like really enjoying every book that I've picked up. It's now like 9 a.m. and I finished this like half an hour ago. This was so good. I woke up at 6:30 today, came and sat on the couch. I actually started reading on my Kindle because I was just feeling a Kindle moment. So I actually read 10% of Twisted Love. Like I just started that one just because I always like to have a Kindle book on the go, and I've been wanting to start Twisted Love for the longest time but kept putting it off because I'm just like actually not sure if I'm gonna like it, and I'm still not sure. I'm only 10% in, but I got it when it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I've just been hanging on to it. So I don't really have any thoughts about that yet, but after I read 10% of that, I picked up Mary Jane again, and I literally just sat and finished the last 100 pages of this all in one sitting because it was just so good. And I can't describe to you what even made it good, because for a while, as you guys know, I was like, oh, it's like sitting at a 4-star read, and then I finished it and I was like, wait, I think this was 5 stars. And I was like, no, like the plot wasn't really very wild, like it wasn't that crazy, you know, there wasn't a whole heap that happened, but I was like, no, it was 5 stars because it just gave me that 5-star feeling. And if you know, you know, you just can't deny a 5-star feeling, and I don't know if you can always explain that feeling very well, but I just feel like this book was just perfect. Honestly, it was just really different from a lot of things that I've read. I think I've been saying that it's general fiction, but now thinking about it, I'm like, no, it's definitely historical fiction because it's obviously based in the 70s. I think sometimes I always assume that historical fiction is more of like Bridgerton vibes, but when you think about it, historical fiction is any fiction that is like based on a very certain time period. I'm pretty sure that's like how it's defined. Anyway, this is based in the 70s, and it literally just felt like I was a fly on the wall to 2 families in the 70s. And I guess looking through the eyes of Mary Jane, who is living in one household, but also babysitting in another household. And she is obviously experiencing the different habits, routines, perspectives, values, all of those things of the two different families, and kind of just like figuring out what she agrees with and what she thinks of these two different families. And it was just phenomenal, honestly. It's definitely not a book for the plot, but I got so attached to these characters and grew so fond of them. I feel like they're all just quite likable, and by the time I got to the end, I was just like, wow. I'm like sad this is over, and I just really enjoyed it. So I think it is a 5-star book, but again, don't go into this expecting a huge plot or anything like wild to happen, because it's not. It kind of reminds me of City of Girls, which is also historical fiction, but it's based in New York City, and I think at a much earlier time period, like the 40s or 50s or something. But it gave me the same feeling, because in that book, it feels like you're just like a fly on the wall to a bunch of different people in New York City during the 40s or 50s, whatever it is. And although there's not a lot going on, it's just so interesting, because obviously that's not a time period that I myself have experienced, and you get to see what they think is normal and how different that is from now. So I think if you like City of Girls, you'd like this, or if you liked this, you'd like City of Girls. Again, very different places, like this is set in Baltimore, and also very different time periods, but just like the concept of it is quite similar. It also definitely gave me Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, because that's also set in the 70s, I think. And it kind of like, when I was imagining the house and the outfits and things like that, it just gave me Daisy Jones vibes. I'm gonna make some breakfast and like finish getting ready for the day, and I definitely want to finish the Dragon Republic this morning, because I think I only have like an hour and a half left on that audiobook, and obviously I would love to finish that. And then I guess we'll start a new book, because we still obviously have pretty much a whole day ahead of us. Little update for you guys. I finished the Dragon Republic. I liked it. I didn't love it. I wish I loved it, but I kind of have already explained all my thoughts and feelings earlier in this vlog, and my opinion hasn't really changed. The writing is phenomenal. The plot is so complex and well done. However, I just didn't feel like I personally connected to the characters, and I just found myself wanting to like finish the book and for it to be over, which I'm really sad about, because like I said, I can recognize how good of a book this is objectively. I just don't think it was for me. I'm still gonna rate it 4 stars, because it was still, like I said, a really great book, and there were so many elements of it that I was like, no, this is fantastic, but it just can't be a 5-star read for me, because I just didn't connect, just didn't like feel the love for the characters, I guess. But let's go pick our next read. We've finished 3 books in this readathon, which I'm pretty proud of. I think we could maybe finish 1 more today. Here's my TBR stack for this month, my little TBR jar, and then the books we've finished so far in this readathon, and also this month, because it's the start of November when I'm filming this, so these are the first 3 books I finished this month. But I think the next book that I want to get to is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I'm going to start it and see if it's what I'm feeling, and obviously I'll let you know and keep you updated, but this just looks like a lot of fun. And it just feels like what I'm in the mood for. Although it looks like semi-chunky, like it's over 400 pages, the text is quite large, so I'm thinking I can fly through it, but we'll see how we go. So obviously I'm reading this book. I'm 60 pages in. I'm honestly loving it so far, but I wish with all my heart that I would have read this when I was like 14, because it is speaking to my 14-year-old soul. In this book, Lara Jean, I'm sure like so many of you have read it, so I'm so sorry if you're just like, yes, Rachel, we know, or you've seen the movie, whatever it may be. But Lara Jean is the main character, and she's kind of like stereotypically lame, I guess you could say. Like, she doesn't want to party, and she doesn't want to, I don't know, get in trouble. She likes being a good girl, and her hobbies are like baking and scrapbooking and reading. And I could not relate more, which I know sounds so cheesy, but I just wish I had read this when I was younger, because I would have been like, Lara Jean is literally the coolest ever because I just relate to her so much. But I'm intrigued to see where this book goes. I feel like there's just been a lot of like setup of the characters and like her situation, I guess, and her like family, but there has been like no romance at all. But we're also 60 pages in, so like fair enough. But I'm really enjoying it so far. Very easy to read, very YA, but still fun. I have a pretty random reading update to share with you guys. It is now 5 p.m. It has been so long since I've talked to you. Don't really know why I haven't updated you, but I am only 100 pages into To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Definitely still thoroughly enjoying it, but for some reason my brain was like, we should start a new book. And so obviously I did. I think I just thrive when I'm reading multiple books at once. I've said this before, but I have a very chaotic brain, and so reading multiple books at once for for me really works. I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's obviously so fine, but my brain just loves having a lot going on, apparently. So I picked up Loveless by Alice Oseman, which is my first Alice Oseman book, and I am now 2/3 of the way through this, which is so random. I don't know what came over me, but I was just like, I want to read this. So I started it. This is another YA book, so YA trend continues, and also another coming of age book like Mary Jane was. Obviously very different because Mary Jane was like more of a historical situation based in the 70s, but this one is based in current times, I guess, and it is about this girl called Georgia who finishes high school and is going to university and is kind of just like figuring out who she is, and she feels a little bit behind in terms of like what she has experienced in life, especially romantically. She says she's only had one crush in her life, she's never had a boyfriend, she's never had her first kiss, obviously not done anything more than that, and she doesn't really think she's behind until she goes to a party where they play Truth or Dare or something. I can't even remember, but they ask her some sort of question and she's like, oh, I haven't had my first kiss yet, and everyone is like, oh, but you're 18, what do you mean? Which is so rude and so mean, and even her friends stand up for her and they're just like, why are you being annoying about it? But she just kind of has this realization where she's like, wait, am I like behind? Am I supposed to have this all figured out by now? And so when she moves to uni, to like college and stuff, she basically has this whole self-discovery, self-realization thing of just like who she is and also her sexuality. And it's really interesting and I've found it quite insightful. It is definitely YA, like it feels younger, and I definitely think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I was younger, which fair enough. YA is not aimed at 24-year-olds, so I can't like critique it in that way, but I'm still really enjoying it because it's just such a unique storyline compared to everything else that I have personally read. And one of the things that I really like about this story is that you get to see that kind of self-discovery journey and coming of age kind of journey for all of her friends around her as well. And you can kind of see that even though Georgia thinks of some of her friends as very confident and very self-assured and very just like they know who they are and what labels apply to them, whatever it may be, but you can kind of see from an outside perspective like they're just as insecure, they're just as unsure, they're still figuring it out. And it's kind of just such a great way of putting things, because I feel like, well, even now as someone in my, I guess, mid-20s, I feel like everyone is just like figuring stuff out, and you think that everyone knows who they are and what they want and what career they want and what life they want, and it's just kind of like the older you get, the more you realize that no one has it figured out at all. And I feel like this book has done that quite well, so I think that I'll probably finish this today because I haven't got too much left on it. And I don't know if I'll finish this one today. I probably won't be able to get through both of them, but today is Friday, and so I'll probably continue to read this over the weekend, and I might still keep you updated even though that's not like 24-hour readathon, but I just don't want to finish this video without giving you my thoughts on this, so I'll keep you updated as I continue to read. But I did some baking. I listened to Loveless as an audiobook for part of my reading experience, part of my afternoon, and I did some baking. I made some little pizza scrolls. So these ones are ham and cheese. They're just like puff pastry. They're actually so good. I've never made them myself before. Just literally pizza sauce on puff pastry, ham and cheese, bake them in the oven for like, actually I don't even know, I just kind of took them out when they looked ready. And these ones have sun-dried tomato pesto, salami and cheese, which again, just so yum, just like little pizzery things. And then I also did make cookies. There is only one left, but that's because I'm going to take a little care package to my friend who injured her back earlier this week, and so I'm just going to drop off a couple of little things for her, as well as a book for her to read because she wants to borrow that one. I love being the personal librarian for my friends. It is my calling in life, I think. But I will update you guys later. Update, it is now 8 p.m. Just finished Loveless. It had a really cute ending. I think I'm gonna give it like 3.5, 3.75. I did enjoy it, not my favorite thing ever, but it was really cute. And I definitely think I will read more Alice Oseman in the future. And now I'm gonna get back into To All the Boys I've Loved Before. It's now a few days later and I actually just finished To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, which was so good, and I told you guys that I would let you know my thoughts once I finished it. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars because it wasn't like the best book ever, but I had so much fun reading it. It is very YA, which I knew going in, so that wasn't a disappointment for me, but I just want to let you guys know in case you want to read it, very YA, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I definitely want to read the rest of the series, maybe even this month, we'll see. But now that the readathon is over, I thought I would give a quick recap of what I read. I honestly had so much fun. I wish I could do these literally every week because they're just the best. But first off, we finished Fuel the Fire by Chris and Becca Ritchie, which is so exciting, but also so sad because I only have 2 books left in this series, which is wild. But this is Connor and Rose's final book in the series, and I do love them. They're my second favorite couple. Lily and Lo are my favorite, so I am sad to say goodbye to them, but it was a great book. It started off a bit slow, but by the end, it was really good, in my opinion. I also finished The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, rated this 4 stars, and like I said, objectively, a very good book. Very well written. I just don't know if this kind of darker fantasy is my type of thing, but I still did enjoy it a lot, and I'm really excited to read more of R.F. Kuang's writing in the future because it's just so beautiful. I also read Mary Jane, and this was 5 stars. It was so freaking good. I did not expect to love this as much as I did, and I can't even really put into words why I loved it so much, but you just need to read it for yourself. No plot, just vibes, but great vibes. I also randomly picked up Loveless by Alice Oseman, and I really enjoyed this as well. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars because I honestly did enjoy it. Very unique from the stuff that I normally read, coming of age type of thing. The only reason I didn't rate it higher was although I really enjoyed it and it was just a good book, it just wasn't a standout to me, but I really enjoyed my reading experience. So I don't really have any complaints. It just didn't like really stand out to me, but still a fun time. So these are the 4 books that I technically read within the 24-hour readathon. But then as you guys saw, I also ended up finishing To All the Boys I've Loved Before over the next couple of days. Really enjoyed this one as well, but can't quite say that I read that during the 24-hour readathon because I only read like maybe 150 pages of it. But yeah, so successful, so much fun. Honestly, I'm really excited to do another one. I don't know when. I try and do these once a month, but it doesn't always work. I'll try and do it at least once every 2 months because yeah, it's just so much fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you prefer watching the timer method where I read for like 24 hours with the timer on my phone and stop it every time that I stop reading, or if you prefer this method where I just read for like 2 days straight and just try and read as much as possible in a 24-hour period. I think this method is my favorite, just blocking 2 days out of my schedule and reading as much as possible. But like I said, let me know your favorite. I'm very intrigued to know what is more entertaining to watch. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.